Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking about the Mecha Hack by Matt Click, and also essentially Absolute Tabletop. And before actually, this is a 5 out of 5 star game. I'm going to say that right up front. In fact, I'm going to say, I read literally hundreds of tabletop role playing games. It's my absolute favorite thing in the world to read, next to one special book that I rank above all TRPGs. But overall, tabletop role-playing games, I still read fiction, but I have to tell myself, hey, go read some fiction, man. It'd be healthy for you. But I just absolutely love to read tabletop role-playing games and, of course, play them. But one of the things is when you read as many as I do, some days, you get a new tabletop role-playing game and you're like, this is kind of a skin of something I've seen. But you keep reading to find something truly unique and truly special. And games like Blades in the Dark, games like Tiny Dungeon, games like Index Card RPG, games like Maze Rats, Ghost Lines. There's these incredibly beautiful tabletop role-playing games that are out there that are incredible works of art. And that's what Mecha Hack is. It is really something special. It only costs $6, and it is 40 pages long, right? But it is a true joy. So let me describe what it is. Okay, before I even get into it, I want to talk a little bit about Matt Click. So Matt Click is he is Fistful of Dice. He's a longtime tabletop role-playing game commentator and game streamer. I really like his stuff. I always have. I think he's really an exceptional talent, and I really think he's excellent. So. And this is one of the first tabletop role-playing games that I've seen him create. This is a standalone tabletop role-playing game that can be played. You buy the $40 Mecha Hack tabletop role-playing game for $6. You're ready to play. That's it. That's all you need, right? You just need some dice as well. But that's pretty incredible, and I really haven't seen Matt Click do anything like this before. So I know he had created some adventures and things like that, but this is just really, really unique and special. And he really knocked it out of the park with this. The whole Absolute Tabletop team. There's some other people working on the project as well. I'm only familiar with Matt. But I also really like his advice on tabletop role-playing games. I always have. One of the other things I think is really special about Matt Click is he is one of these guys who on YouTube where not only is he creating content and doing a great job with TRPG commentary, but he's lifting other YouTubers up, and he's partnering with other YouTubers. It's a unique skill. It's really something special, and the Mecha Hack is just fantastic. One of the reasons why I'm so excited about it is it's a great game. You're gonna have an awesome time reading it. You're gonna have an awesome time playing it, right? But it's more than that. And the games that I get excited about, they're more than just this is a good book, this is a good play experience, right? When I'm looking at a game, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a template to make a lot of other great games. And so when you look at the Mecha Hack, what it tells me is you can make an incredibly awesome, complex, abstract, not too complex. It is, I don't think rules light. This is 40 pages long. I don't think this is actually rules light. I think this is rules elegant. That's a better way of putting it. It is so good. This thing it knocks it out of the park. Okay. So it really is something really unique. All right. So thank you for that preamble there about Matt Click and Absolute Tabletop, and just let me explain that I really think this game is something special. So what it is showing is how you make a tabletop role-playing game, 40 pages long, and make it engaging, make it have some complexity to it. It's not a complex game. It has elegant complexity and the right amount of complexity, right? It's simple, and then it allows complexity in areas where it elegantly fits, right? It's really something special. It's a sweet spot, and it's hard to hit, okay? Now, with that said, let me explain. The Mecha Hack is a conversion of the Black Hack. The Black Hack is a D&D Redux, and fantastic D&D Redux. By the way, I read the Black Hack just to understand the background for the Mecha Hack. So I read the Mecha Hack before I read the Black Hack. I went and I read Jason Black's Black Hack, which is a really nice, extremely well done D&D Redux. Okay, so just giving you the understanding of the game. All right, so what is the Mecha Hack? Well, it's a celebration of Super Robot Anime. So with this game, you can run a Robotech game, you can run a BattleTech game, you can run a Voltron game, you can run a Titanfall game, you can run a Gundam game, right? You can run a Transformers game. And in addition to that, you can run a Lodestar Alpha game. Well, what's Lodestar Alpha? Lodestar Alpha is the custom world setting that's included in the book, and it's a mini setting. It's extremely well done. Really, really extremely well done, right? So you can make your own custom mecha game with this, right? And so how does it work? Well, the first thing you do is you pick a pilot. Your pilot is essentially your race, right? And there are 4 types. There's commanders, mavericks, quipsters, and engineers. A commander can give an extra action to another player character. These are all player character options for your pilot. A maverick can reduce his armor or her armor to give extra damage, right? A quipster can test their presence for advantage on a single action, right? And they can do that for themselves or give it to somebody else, right? And actually, they give it to somebody else. I don't think they can do it for themselves. So what they're saying actually inspires better action from somebody else, which is really kind of cool mechanic. And then an engineer, they have repair, which means they can reduce their own armor points to give other people HP, to give other mechs HP, right? And by the way, the pilot is really just a tiny detail in this game, right? It's all about the mechs. The pilots don't even have their own attributes, right? The mech and the pilot are considered one unit, right? And they share one set of attributes, which is really kind of interesting. The pilot also gives mods to the mechs themselves, okay? So they'll give a +2 to one ability and a +1 to another attribute, okay? Now, what are the actual? So let's start talking about the actual mechs themselves, right? All right. So the mechs themselves, when you choose your mech, you choose a chassis. Okay. Now there are 4 types of chassis. There's a striker, which is a well-balanced, versatile mech, and base. Oh, you know what? And I'm sorry. So before we get into chassis, let me explain. Every single mech has 4 attributes: power, mobility, system, and presence. So power is what you use to attack. Mobility is, of course, movement. System is keeping yourself running and all of your communications gear, all your electronics, that kind of thing in the system. And then presence is what kind of a presence your mech has on the battlefield, right? And so those 4 attributes are applied to the 4 different chassis that you can choose. Every single one of the chassis has those same 4 attributes, right? So go back to the chassis, sorry. Striker is a well-balanced, versatile chassis. It's an upgrade, and what it can do is the Striker can upgrade other mechs' reactor die. And boy, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this. In addition to the power, in addition to the attributes, the 4 attributes, power, mobility, system, and presence, each mech has 3 types of dice that are assigned to it. It has a hit die, which is the damage it rolls when it gets successfully hits. It has a damage die, which is the damage it does when it successfully I'm sorry, a hit die is the die it rolls to hit, okay? The damage die is the die it rolls to damage another mech. And then finally, the reactor die. The reactor die is actually a negative. Okay, you have a core inside your mech, and basically it needs to be routinely giving the same amount of energy, right? And so what you have to do is you have to roll against your reactor. You roll your reactor die, and if you get a 1 or 2 on your reactor die, you degrade that reactor die. Okay. So you would start with a D8, you go down to a D6, a D4. If you roll a 1 or 2 on D4, your mech becomes overheated, overheated, and then you actually lose a turn. Okay, so that kind of talks about that unstable energy that's in a mech, right? So it's really, really exceptional. The mechs have proficiencies. They have proficiencies with certain types of weapons and certain type of armor. And then finally, I can go back and talk about the chassis. Sorry about that. Oh, and also, I'm sorry. All mechs also have one active power and one passive power. So each mech is quite unique. So the Striker can upgrade other mechs' reactor dies, the Striker chassis. The Brawler chassis is an up and close personal combat mech, and it's a serious damage dealer, right? And then and actually it can trade armor points for damage. The Scout can cloak itself, and it can also act as a sniper really well as a sniper. And finally, the Titan is a heavier mech. It's not necessarily a larger mech. It's a heavier mech that can take damage, right? And it can trade armor points and shield other mechs. So you have the Striker mech, the Brawler mech, the Scout mech, and the Titan. And these are all essentially like mecha templates, right? In addition to that, every single mech, when you start, you get one module. Modules come in three types: offensive, defensive, and utility, right? And modules are things like targeting units, so that you get a minus, you get an a -2 to hit something, right? Now in this game, you roll under your attribute. But the attributes are 3 to 18. They're 3d6, right? Just like Dungeons and Dragons, right? So, and that's really interesting. So you roll under your attribute, which is kind of different, right? So a targeting unit would help you hit another mech with your ranged weapon. Chainsword would be like that's another thing. Modules could be weapons, right? They could be siege mode is a good example of a module. It allows your mech to kind of transform into a tank type of a vehicle, into a tank type, and then shoot like a very long distance, high damage attack, right? The modules are very, very interesting. Arc is another one. Arc is a particular type of unit that you can put on your mech, and you would do an arc attack, and then that would force somebody else to roll their reactor die down, or force the mech to roll their reactor die down, so that it would shut down a mech, right? That kind of thing. Or no, I'm sorry, that's not right. It would actually make the mech lose one turn, right? So the modules, there's a ton of really cool customization that can be done in the modules themselves, right? Also, one more thing about the attributes: when you roll them, you roll 3d6. If you roll a 15 or higher on your next roll, you have to roll a 2d6 plus 3. I thought that was a really interesting mechanic. Also, that reactor die, that is the usage die from the Black Hack, which is it's essentially a depletion. It's a depletion unit where, like, so basically, rather than tracking arrows, every time it, like, the way Black Hack does it is every time after a battle, if you have a quiver, you just roll you roll a die, and if you get a 1 or a 2 on the die, you are out of ammo, right? Now, the better your quiver is, the higher that die is. So a 1d8 is going to hit a 1 or 2 a lot. A d8 is going to hit a 1 or 2 a lot less frequently than a 1d4. So a really good quiver would be a d8, and a really bad quiver, a really tiny quiver, would be a d4. The usage die is really exceptionally good. It's one of the best things in the Black Hack. It's really, really gorgeous. The other thing that comes from the Black Hack in this game is the ability to use armor points really, really well. The Black Hack has an exceptional way that it deals with armor. Essentially, you have your armor, and you can use all your armor points. You decide how they're used, right? And then when you get a short rest, 1 hour or more, you can your mech can then restore its armor, essentially restores its armor points. And that represents you actually letting it, getting out there and, kind of pulling bending the plates back or whatever you need to do to get your armor back into better position. Oh, and your engineer helping you using tools, those kind of things, right? So the game also has a lot of really cool, like, little fun additions. A really good, cool, fun addition was like the mecha, your call sign. So your pilot has a call sign, right? So you roll randomly and you come up with call signs like Voodoo Zero or Oracle Ethos or Colossus Lucifer, all these really weird ones, right? So really, really kind of neat. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about Mecha Hack as far as its structure. It's really very simple, right? So you choose a pilot. That pilot's going to be Commander, Maverick, Quipster, or Engineer. You then determine your attributes, which are your mech. You determine your mecha, right? And with your mecha, you determine what its power is going to be. You roll 3d6 for its power, its mobility, its system, and its presence. You then assign hit these dice to it: a hit die, a damage die, and a reactor die. And then finally, you then choose your mecha chassis, which is Striker, Brawler, Scout, or Titan. One other thing I just remembered is there's a really elegant mechanic for leveling. So when you level, it's super simple. You just roll your hit die. You add that to your hit points, right? And the hit points are much lower in this than Dungeons and Dragons. It's generally going to be between 8 and 50. Like that. And which makes it a lot cleaner. The actual fights are much faster in this game. And I love that. I love that it moves quickly, right? So so basically, that it's really a super slimmed down, elegant version that allows you to play any mecha game you want. And so this is just it's rules elegant. It's just super powerful example of what can be done with 40 pages. I think this is one of the tightest TRPGs I've ever seen done, and it's a quality ratchet, right? So the reason why this game is so good is you have 3 incredible creators creating it, right? First, Mike Mearls has D&D 5e, right? The Black Hack is a D&D Redux, right? So you're getting pretty much all that great design from those D&D designers, not just Mike Mearls. And then Jason Black does a quality ratchet on that with the Black Hack, and then Matt Click comes and does a quality ratchet on Jason Black's work. And so this thing is just quality on quality on quality. I cannot recommend buying this high enough. It is worth. I hate to say this. I've spent $60 on games that I was a lot less excited about and enjoyed reading less than this. This is worth 10 times its asking price. It really is exceptional. It only costs $6. You can get it right over on Drive Thru RPG. Buy it today. Take care.